It's been 8 months since I uploaded my video. The heavyweight division is so bad that it had to be scripted. And with all the time that's passed since then, you may be surprised to hear that the heavyweight division still sucks. But for a different reason this time around. Last time, I complained that the problem with the heavyweight division was it had a severe lack of star power. There was nobody interesting and nobody who could realistically beat John. Keep in mind that this was while Aspinall was injured, and there's no way we could have known that he'd return as strong as he did. So I'll admit, I severely discredited him. But now, the division doesn't have that problem. Tom has the makings of a real superstar. His tremendous fighting ability, his family man values, and him being just a bit of a cheeky bloke all combined to make an entertaining fighter inside and outside of the octagon. And to top it all off, he wants to be active. When's the last time we had an active heavyweight champion? I'll actually touch on that later in this video, but for now, let's talk about another rising star in the division. The other half of the scrap at 295, Sergey Pavlovich. I think he's captivating in his own way. I don't think he could talk trash on the microphone if he tried, and his interviews don't leave much of an impact. But the UFC marketing did a great job of building him up as this Terminator-esque wrecking ball of a human. And the 6th fight, first round knockout streak certainly helped. When a Pavlovich fight is announced, I'm all in because you know someone is getting ragdolled. Granted, sometimes he's the one getting ragdolled, but my point is, he doesn't have to rock the mic because he lets his fists do the talking for him. I think the division is fine to have one fighter who can speak softly and carry a big stick, so to speak, and Sergey fits that mold perfectly. Moving on, I don't know what it is about Turan Gan, but I can't stay pissed at the dude. I should be. After not showing up when he fought John, then basically ignoring Tom at Fight Night Paris, and now saying he deserves to fight him for the title, I would have turned my back to any other fighter, because I'm a casual. But honestly, I just like this guy. He puts on great fights, as long as his opponents don't even think about trying to grapple. And like Sergey, he's more of a quiet one, but he presents himself as a solid professional athlete. If he got put against a true heel who talked a lot of shit and tried to get under his skin, I think we'd see a different, more interesting side of Surreal, and that would ultimately help him break through as a star. Actually, I think the same can be said for Tom and Sergey too. Alexander Volkov and Jailton Almeida are two other heavyweights that have my interest right now. Almeida especially with the Blades fight on the horizon, but the big three of Tom, Sergey, and Surreal really have something special going for them right now. I can't wait to see what's next for each of them, and I hope you all are interested as well. But right now, there's just one problem standing in their way that's keeping them from breaking out into superstardom, and it's an old friend of the heavyweight division. An inactive champion. Let's take a quick trip down memory lane in case you don't think it's actually an issue. Francis Ngannou became champion on March 27, 2021 when he KO'd Stipe Miocic at UFC 260. Francis then defended the title against Gan on January 22, 2022 at UFC 270, and John Jones picked up Francis's relinquished title when he also beat Gan on March 4, 2023 at UFC 285. Meaning that since Francis first became champion on March 27, 2021, we have had exactly 2 heavyweight title fights. That's 2 fights in 1,035 days. I'm not counting either interim title bout either because they were both bullshit. Francis was healthy and allegedly willing to fight at UFC 265 versus Derek Lewis. But we also know that the whole reason he left the company was because of contract disputes. I'm willing to bet that the dispute was the reason why he didn't fight and they stuck Surreal in there instead. Having an interim title fight was probably just a tactic to pressure Francis into defending the belt without renegotiating his contract. The other interim title fight, Aspinall versus Pavlovich at UFC 295, was purely to boost the Madison Square Garden card. If that fight was happening in Vegas or anywhere else, I guarantee they would have just scrapped the fight and a different bout on the main card would have been bumped up to co-main. But the fight did happen, and so now the next big heavyweight event will be the title unification bout, right? Well, unfortunately, Tom's belt doesn't mean anything right now because the UFC is hell-bent on making the Stipe versus Jones fight, even if that means making Tom sit for the rest of this year. I kind of understand why they still want to make that fight so badly. I mean, your fat beer-drinking uncle who used to be into the UFC hears that John Jones is fighting Stipe Miocic, and he cracks open his wallet immediately. Now, me personally, I don't like Jones very much, and I don't think that old man Stipe, who hasn't fought in 3 years, puts up much of a fight. But the reality is that this fight sells. It's a dream fight for the old heads, and current fans will still tune in. But does having the heavyweight title on the line really make the fight sell more? I don't think anyone who would buy the pay-per-view solely because of this matchup cares if there's a belt or not. We've had a few titleless main events before, and I think this fight has enough going for it to be one. And if it's really a deal breaker, then they can just make a title up like the BMF. Call it the GHF, Greatest Heavyweight Fighter, or some shit. It doesn't really matter, especially if the rumors that John and Stipe are both going to retire after this end up being true. And another thing, if John and Stipe's next fight is going to be their last, then why did they get this legacy fight ending instead of passing the torch to the next generation? I get that they've put a lot of work in over the course of their careers, have given fans many iconic highlight reel moments, and are genuine legends of the sport. But where in the rulebook does it say that's enough for a title fight? If that's the game we're playing, then I can't wait to see Tony Ferguson versus Islam Makhachev headlining UFC 300. Also, I like Stipe, but he doesn't deserve a title shot. If Francis was still the champion, and this was 2 years ago, then sure, they're 1-1, so okay, let's make the rubber match. But the harsh reality is that Stipe hasn't won a fight since 2020. Furthermore, I doubt he beats anyone in the top 5 right now. And why doesn't John have to honor unifying the interim and undisputed titles? All he has to do to quiet down some of his haters is say, okay Tom, after Stipe, you're next. But he hasn't, which makes the rumor of his next fight being his last seem a lot more likely. Though, to be fair, he is the most accomplished domestic abuser / drunk driver of anyone in mixed martial arts history, so I guess that means he gets to call the shots, right? He can hold up the entire division for over a year just to fight an out-of-prime Stipe and ride off into the sunset. Well, fuck that. He deserves an ass whooping at the hands of Tom Aspinall so that the rest of the division can prosper. And Tom versus John does way more for the future of the division than John versus Stipe. Any Jones fight is going to get a ton of attention, and if Tom becomes the first man to legitimately defeat John, then his name value is going to go through the roof. I was so happy to see Tom campaigning for himself to fight either John when he returns, or Stipe now to defend the interim belt, and then fight John when he returns. It seems now that he's given up on the campaign, and to be honest, I can't blame him. He hit a brick wall with both guys, and the UFC sure as hell isn't going to help him out. The heavyweight division is going to be so exciting once these two stop holding up the division. Unfortunately, it seems that us fans are just going to have to wait until John and Stipe hang up the gloves to see Tom take over, even though a win over either of them will greatly boost his name and ensure more people want to tune in to watch his fights moving forward. But what do I know? Probably nothing. More importantly, what do you all know? Probably something. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you want more UFC content, I have more videos on screen now. And if you're a fan of the old UFC Undisputed game series, then check out my previous stream of the fan-made mod UFC Undisputed Forever. It updates Undisputed 3 with the current roster of fighters, updated gear, logos, and much more. The dev team is getting ready to roll out a huge update this Friday, February 2nd. It adds new walkout songs, updates the commentary, and adds even more surprises. The link to the reveal trailer is down in the description if you want to check it out yourself. I plan to stream it once the update rolls out. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. But that does it for this video. Until next time, I've been Drew talking. Take it easy and have a good one, folks.